Okay, get yourself ready for your morning practice. Sit yourself down onto your left and come into a good cross-legged position. Just have a little wriggle about, make sure that you're feeling level at your seat bones. Just have a little wriggle, hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest and draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Look down at the floor, look at something that doesn't move. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Keeping the jaw soft and the tongue soft. Listen to the sound of the breath. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Push the palms firmly together. Lengthen from your armpits into your elbows into the heels of the hands, the heels of your hands into the fingertips. And with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Focus on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top and emptying your lungs from the top to the bottom. Just allowing your breath to be deep and soft. With an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area. Release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. Bring the tips of the index finger together with the tip of the thumb, just a gesture of wisdom, of physical intelligence, and of peacefulness that we can carry into our practice as an intention. Raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Hold on to your knees, elevate your heart area upwards, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose And then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across. Drawing your abdomen across and your ribs and your shoulders. Listening to the sound of the breath. And then come back to the centre. Hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, elevating the heart area upwards. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose. And then turn to the left. And then gently come back to the centre. Come off your lift and sit back on your heels. So sit back on your heels and just observe the shins in contact with the floor. Elevate the heart area upwards and your shoulders down away from your ears. Elevate the heart area upwards and then keep the heart area lifting and come forwards. Pushing your hands into the floor. Pushing your hands into the floor, keeping your head lifted initially, keeping the seat bones down on the heels, and then bring the forehead down. Feel how this pose stretches out the lower back. It can feel really nice, especially if you have back pain. It's just a nice way of opening up the tension of your back. If it overdoes your back, then put a block underneath your head. Have blocks underneath your hands so you come forwards but not down as low if it's straining your back. But otherwise, just feel the opening of the lumbar. Whenever I have back pain, it's always in just the very lower part of my lumbar, and this always feels good to stretch into. Just listen to the sound of the breath, the sound of the inhalation and the sound of the exhalation. Lift your head, keep your right hand where it is, and slide the left arm underneath the right armpit. Bring the left shoulder down onto the floor. If you can, bring your head down onto the floor. Push that right arm firmly into the floor. Push the left arm really deeply into the floor, like you want to push it through the floor. And then roll the chest down to face the floor, so that you really prise open the shoulder blades. It's a really good way of opening tension around the shoulders, around the shoulder blades and around the neck. Just let the body roll towards the floor, but really determinedly push that left arm into the floor. And then release, come back into Adho Mukha Virasana. So it's called threading the needle. Lift your head, keep your left hand where it is, and then thread the right arm underneath the left armpit. Bring that right shoulder onto the floor, bring the head down onto the floor. Stretch your arm away, push the
right arm firmly into the floor, really hard, from the wrists, from the forearms as well as the hand, and roll the chest down to face the floor so that you prise open your shoulder blades. Try and keep the seat bones down on the heels. It will be difficult, it may be impossible, but you can still give your seat bones that intention to draw down to the heels. Okay, and then release. And then come back into Adho Mukha Virasana. Just feel how the pose has changed. Come up onto your knees, have your hands as wide apart as the mat, have your feet as wide apart as the mat. And come up into dog down. Turn the fronts of your thighs inwards. Lift the seat bones up towards the ceiling. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Activate the legs. Push the fronts of the knees consciously through to the backs of the knees. Push the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. Turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Lift the fronts of the thighs up towards the top of the leg. And then step your feet forwards. Come up into a standing position. And then have some blocks for your hands for half uttanasana. And then have your feet as wide apart as your mat. Have your feet as wide apart as your mat. Feel that the outside edge of the foot lines up with the edge of the mat. So feel that the heel touches the outer edge of the mat, even if it overlaps slightly. Just have a look around the edge. Just make sure that the outer edge of the mat of the foot is in line with the edge of the mat. Tighten the kneecaps. Turn the fronts of your thighs consciously inwards. Have your hands on your hips and elevate the heart area up to the ceiling. Hinge in at the hips, keeping the legs straight, keeping the head lifted. Just feel that you can lift the seat bones up towards the ceiling. And then find the blocks. Press the kneecaps through towards the backs of the knees. Lift the thighs, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Elevate the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs. Lift the tailbone towards the ceiling. Draw the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. If you can go down lower, then do. Just listening to the sound of the inhalation, the sound of the exhalation. If you can reach down to the floor, then do. But all the time keeping the head lifted. As soon as you drop your head in this pose, your shoulders start to round like this. And then there's no extension in the spine. So keep the head lifted. Keep the shoulder blades drawing in towards the front chest. Keep the legs firmly activated. If you can reach around the backs of your heels, drawing the body through the space between the legs. But still keeping the head active and lifted. As you come forwards, then do. But otherwise, just stay at whichever stage feels comfortable for you. Be just cautious of tension in the back. If there is back problems, then just go up to the highest level that we started with, rather than pushing yourself too far. Bring your hands back onto the fingertips. Just coming into half uttanasana. And then bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into tadasana. So be in tadasana. Lift up into the chest. Breathe from the bottom of the lungs to the top. Breathe from the bottom of the lungs to the top. Bring your arms out nice and wide, extending from the heart area out into both arms evenly, into both arms, into both wrists, into both palms, also the fingertips, into the fingernails, extending out from the heart area. Bring your arms in towards the chest and then step or jump your feet apart. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out, and then just really work to straighten those legs, tightening the kneecaps. Rotate the tops of the legs in the hips. Turn the inner thighs out. Turn from the big toe side to the little toe side, especially of the front leg, of that right leg. But activate the back leg in the same way. Come down, hinging at the hips, and then reach up. Look up if you can. This is really good sinus clearer if you suffer from blocked sinuses. Just putting the body into this position really helps to bring clarity to the sinuses. Just look down. Is your head over your foot? Does it feel as though the front leg buttock bone, does it feel like it's sticking out towards the back of the room? Or can you squeeze it forward so that it's in line with your heel? You have to feel that action. Activate the back leg and push it towards the back of the room. Look up again. Reach up. Reach evenly out of the heart area into both arms. So rather than collapsing down onto that front leg, you're stretching down towards it. You're stretching up with the top arm. Reach up with the top arm, come back to the centre, swap the feet around, turn the right toes in, and the left leg and foot all the way out. So you might notice as I turn that leg, I bend it, just gives you more access right up into the top of the leg, but then we straighten the leg. So the legs in trikonasana need to be straight, tightened at the kneecaps, lifting the thighs up, turning the thighs out. Lengthen out from the heart area evenly. At this stage, does it feel like you're kind of sinking in that left hip, or do the hips feel level? Try and maintain as much as you can the levelness of the hips, although they will go out of line slightly. Reach down, find the shin and look up. Keep lifting from the front of the shin into the kneecap, into the front of the thigh, all the way up into the hip. That front leg, but of both legs. Breathe in through the nose, have a quick look down as your head over your foot. Just make a few adjustments if it's not. And then come back to the centre, bring your feet parallel, and then step or jump the feet back together. Just come back into Tadasana. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. Just focusing on the feeling of the physical body. Okay, bring your feet hip width apart. We're going to do padangusthasana and then padahastasana. If you know that you can't reach your toes, then get yourself a belt and then hook the big toes inside the belt. So it's not the whole of the foot, it's just the big toe. And then you hold on to that. And then once you've got those in place, then you're just going to keep the back straight as you come forwards. And you come forwards as much as you can, but just being conscious of your back so it can be strong for your back. So just maintain your consciousness of your back. Have your feet at least hip width apart. Go slightly wider if you know that you can't quite reach your toes, but otherwise hip width apart. Turn your toes inwards, turn the big toes in. Spread the toes on the floor. Stamp the neck of the big toe into the floor. Stamp the pad of the big toe into the floor. Make sure that your feet are in line. And then spread out into the little toe. It doesn't come naturally for many. Tighten the kneecaps. Turn the fronts of your thighs inwards. And then elevate the heart area up to the ceiling. Find lots of space in the front chest. Wing the elbows towards each other and then come forwards, hinging at the hips. So this is a bit of a variation in the classical pose. You come forwards like this, but I find that is quite strong for your back. So this is just a back friendly way of doing it. Reach down and then get hold of the big toes. If you're rounding your back or bending your knees at this stage, then go to the belt. You need to keep the legs straight, keep the back straight. Have the index finger and the middle finger underneath the big toe, the thumb wrapping around the outside of the big toe. And then go back to the legs. Feel where your weight is in your feet. Hit your legs forward so that your weight comes into your toes. That is not great for balance. Hit your shins back, hit your thighs back, so that your weight consciously goes into your heels. Lift the shin skin up to the kneecaps. Lift the kneecaps up to the thighs, lift the thighs up into the hip socket. Turn the fronts of the legs inwards so that the backs of the thighs broaden outwards. Lift the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs. Project the chin and the chest forwards. Then have a tug of war with your big toe. Stamp the big toe down, try and rip it up at the same time. Keep extending the spine forwards, and if you can keep your back straight, if you can keep the shoulder blade region drawing into the spine, then you can bend your elbows out to the side and draw your body in to the space between the legs. But keep the back active, keep the legs firmly activated. If the knees bend, then you lose the extension. If your body is in contact more or less with the legs, then you can just let the head hang down. Okay, just lift the chest, come back to the center, release the toes, come into half uttanasana, and then bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees all the way up if you need to, and then come up into the standing position. Just keep the feet hip width apart for a moment, and then step them together so that the feet come back up into Tadasana. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Okay, and then bring your feet hip width apart again. So we're going to do padahastasana. So again, we can come into the pose. You can come into the pose with the arms outstretched, but like I say, I find this can be heavy for the lower back. So you come forwards, but you don't drop your arms. You come forwards, extending, 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 and then you're going to place the backs of your hands underneath your feet. Again, keeping the legs straight. So make a decision about how you're going to come into the pose. Turn your toes in. Your hands on the hips, or stretch them up to the ceiling. If your hands are on your hips, wing the elbows back. If your hands are upstretched, then keep them in line with the spine as you come forwards. Keep the legs, the fronts of the legs turning inwards. Come forwards, keeping the head lifted and long. When you're halfway, just stop halfway and assess the balance of the feet, stretching the heels, stretching the weight back into the heels, and then keep coming forwards, but keeping the back straight, keeping the head lifted. And then release your hands, bring the back of your hands underneath the feet. Now if you can't do that, you can stand on a folded blanket. I should have said that before, actually. You can stand on a folded blanket, just with the front of the feet on the folded blanket. Turn the fronts of the legs inwards. Project deeply into the spine. And then draw, keeping the head lifted, draw the elbows out to the sides of the room. Listen to the sound of the breath. Draw the chest through the legs. And you can let your head hang down if your head is facing the floor, but don't come forwards with the head, come forwards with the heart. And then release your hands, project the chin and the chest forwards, and then just walk your hands towards the front edge of the mat. Step back, have your feet hip width apart, have your hands shoulder width apart, and then come into dog down. If you're not doing dog down, you can go into Adho Mukha Virasana, sitting back on your heels, stretching forwards, the pose that we started with. And then come down onto knees. Sit back on your heels and just observe how your energy has changed. So sometimes you don't notice it in the pose, but when you stop and acknowledge how the body is feeling, then you take in the difference. Does the energy that you've released feel even, or does it feel more on one side than the other? Use your breath to distribute it more evenly if it does feel uneven. But maybe it feels uneven because you've been working unconsciously more on one side than on the other. So just take note of that. Come up onto all fours. We're going to go into rajakapotasana. So come up onto all fours. Have your knees underneath your hips, your hands underneath your shoulders, and then just have a little wriggle about. Just wiggle the hips from one side to the other. Just giving yourself a little bit of opening in those side hip muscles. Just stretching out those side hips. And then come back to the centre. Press the knees into the tops of the shins into the floor and lengthen into the toes. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And then bring your right knee to make contact with the right wrist. Bring the right foot so that it sits underneath the left side, underneath the left hip. And then lengthen that left leg away. Keep the right foot underneath the left hip. Come up onto the fingertips. Rotate that back leg like you're doing padahastasana. So turn the front of the thigh of that back leg all the way out. So all the way in. So turn the front of the thigh inwards. So that the back of the thigh feels like it broadens outwards. So that it brings the back leg hip level with the front leg hip. Lift from the abdomen into the diaphragm, into the collarbone, into the chin. Push the knees consciously away from each other, but keep that back leg firmly activating in Tadasana. Keep the back leg hip broadening from the crease of the buttock out into towards the hip. Listen to the breath. And then bring the heels of the hands down. Walk that back leg in and then come back onto all fours. Again, just have a little wriggle in the hips, just observing if they feel any different. So rajakapotasana is quite a intense pose really, isn't it? Quite strong, but it's a really good opener for the hips. So be at neutral position. Press the shins into the floor at this stage. And it's almost just trying to bring the body, the back to a neutral position. So not cow pose, not cat pose, just a neutral position. Bring the left knee to make contact with the left wrist. Bring the left foot underneath that right thigh. And then walk that right leg towards the back of the room behind you. Come up onto the fingertips. Again, rotate that back leg in Tadasana, turning the front of the thigh inward so that the hips come level. Lengthen from the abdomen into the diaphragm, into the collarbone, into the chin. Lengthen into the toes of that back leg. Breathe. Turn the crease of the elbows to face the front so that you broaden the collarbone.
bring palms of the hands down to the floor. Walk that back leg in and then sit back on your heels and stretch forwards in Adho Mukha Virasana. And then push your hands into the floor and then sit back on your heels. Again, observe your energy, observe again how it has changed. Just listen to the sound of the in-breath and the sound of the out-breath. Okay, sit yourself on a lift, on a couple of blocks, and then we're going to stretch the legs away and come into Dandasana. But sit, even if you don't normally sit on a lift for Dandasana, I want you to today, because we're going to do bharadvajasana, which is a turning pose. Perhaps if you're used to not sitting on the blocks, then observe how this affects your Dandasana. So when you sit on a lift, it's typically easier to lift up into the chest, to elevate the spine upwards, to suck the lumbar spine in towards the front of the body. Activate the legs, turn the fronts of the legs inwards. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Bring your feet apart a little. And then get hold of the back of the right knee. And then bend the knee and bring the foot underneath the left thigh. So that foot, you should be able to see the instep of that right foot on the outside of the left thigh. So you bend in this right leg, and then you bring the heel onto the corner of the block that you're sitting on, if you can, and then your right foot should be kind of poking out at least halfway on the outside of that left thigh. Does that make sense? And then we're going to bend the left leg and then bring the shin into Virasana. So the shin comes into the instep of the right foot. Now at this stage you'll need to adjust. So you'll probably feel like you're kind of rolling over this way. So just get hold of the buttock flesh and roll it out to the side. You need to consciously draw this left hip down towards the blocks. So you try to bring the hips into levelness. Now if you struggle to do that, because it is quite a challenge, and you don't want to turn if the hips feel unlevel, you don't want to turn because it's going to feel really horrible for your spine. So if you can't bring levelness into the hips, then just lift up a second, just shuffle the blocks to the right side a little so that the left seat bone is kind of hanging in the air a little. And then the hips are more likely to feel more level. So just adjust until that is the case. Have these knees in front of you, in line with each other, and lift up into the chest. Reach up with the left arm, reach towards the ceiling with the left arm. And then reach behind you with the right hand, turn to the right side. Try not to favour too much that right seat bone, and then reach down with that left hand, find the outside of the right thigh. So dig the back hand into the blocks that you're sitting on or the floor, whichever is easier to access. Feel that you can avoid rolling significantly onto that right seat bone. Draw the abdomen across, the ribs across, the shoulders across. Keep pushing that left knee into the floor so that you've got somewhere to pivot away from. Turn the abdomen. And then come back to the centre. So just keep the legs in place for the moment. So we can do that again. You're either going to come into the pose in the same way, or you can do the kind of next stage of the pose. You bring that right arm behind you and then you hook the inner elbow of that left arm into the hand. And then you're going to reach across and you try and find, I can't find that right leg, but you try and find that right leg. Now if you can't reach, then you could use a belt around the left arm, take hold of the belt, and then you just give yourself a bit more space. So just use whatever you need. So turn and reach around to that outside of the right thigh if you can, and then lift up into the chest. This becomes a really good kidney massage. Keep that left knee pressing into the floor. Try not to roll over onto the right seat bone. Bring the torso level with the into the centre of the two hips, so that the seat bones feel level. Okay, and then gently come back to the centre. Just level out the hips and the blocks, and then stretch your legs out in front. Stretch your legs out in front and just come back into padahastasana. Observe the quietness of the brain. Listen to the breath. Bring your feet apart a little. Bend your left knee, and then bring that left heel underneath the back of the thigh. Make sure that you can see the left foot on the outside edge of the thigh. Bend the right leg, bring the right shin into the instep of the left foot, and then just adjust the seat bones until they feel level. Lift up into the chest. Reach up with the right arm, reach back and around with that left arm, and then bring that right arm down onto the outside of the left thigh. Again, feel that the hips contact the floor evenly, or the lift. Draw the torso towards the back feet. If you feel that there's loads of weight on your left seat bone, draw the torso towards the feet. If you feel that there's uneven weight on the seat bones, and then come back to the centre. Either use your belt or reach around, get hold of the inner elbow and then reach around. So I'm going to go for the belt again, just to give me a bit more space. And then turn. Again, just feeling that you can draw the torso in between the two hips as you turn. Lifting up into the heart area.
and gently come back to the centre. Just adjust yourself so that you're evenly on the block, and then stretch your legs out in front. Just feel the warmth of the body lift up into the chest. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Okay. And then I want you to come down onto your back. Just rest in supta baddha konasana for a moment. Just giving yourself just the opportunity to release in the spine. If there's any stiffness in your hips, then you can put blocks on the outsides of your thighs. Otherwise, just use this as a little recuperative pose, just softening the back into the floor, letting the knees just fall apart. Just find your levelness. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Bend your knees in towards each other. Hold on to the edges of the mat. Pull your knees in towards your chest, and then elevate your legs up to the ceiling. Viparita karanhi. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Bend your knees, bring your feet back down onto the floor. Have your feet apart, your knees together for a moment, just resting your back down into the ground. And then rock, bring your knees in towards your chest, have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just softening your back into the floor, just giving yourself a little massage on the spine. And then rock yourself up into a seated position. Just have a folded blanket underneath your head. And I'm just going to cover my feet because they get chilly at this time of year. Make sure you're in a really good straight line right down the centre of the mat. Come down onto your back, making sure that you're in a good straight line so that you can relax more efficiently. And then allow the
body to release into the ground. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Emptying your lungs from the top to the bottom. Filling your lungs from the bottom to the top and emptying them from the top to the bottom. Let the muscles consciously relax. Let the body become heavy on the floor. Let the body become heavy on the floor, and as you release the body into heaviness, observe that feeling of energetic lightness that radiates from the bones and into the muscles. Feel the energy radiating from your bones and into the muscles, into your organs, into the flesh and the skin. Consciously wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, just bring yourself back into this pose of shavasana. Pull your knees in toward your chest, have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists bring to the body and to the mind. And with an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Draw your shoulders away from your ears.
spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open, and the focus to softly come back. So thanks very much for joining me. So hopefully you feel like you have really lifted your energy and given yourself good, positive energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining me.